Ali Velshi asked the pertinent question to the former Ohio governor. And the question is, or the statement was, I wish we treated the average American worker the way we treat companies. I want you to listen to this, and then we'll take it on the other side.
Why then shouldn't we be looking at corporations who don't pay taxes and the very wealthy who get breaks? If you are a bus driver, a working stiff in this country, your tax rate as a percentage is higher than anybody else's. You have no write-offs. There's no ability to do anything. Why do we keep going for the least among us? Why don't we go for the strongest among us and raise some more money? Because that's the other way you can balance a budget, raise money.
If you raise money, Congress will spend the money. That's just a fact, okay? Number one. Number two, when we talk about rich people, they're paying about, why do you think all these people are moving from New York to Florida? Because the amount of taxes they're paying is sky high. I was just told the other day, if you get a bonus over in New York, you work on Wall Street or something, 40% of it goes to taxes. I mean, how much should it be? Should it be 50? Should it be 60? At what point do people say they don't want to participate anymore or work that hard? So look at what's happening in the country. The fastest growing states in our country, Texas, over there in Florida, low
taxes, Governor, but
just
horrible,
look at any of them.
Horrible places to live in terms of gun violence, in terms of being able to get an abortion. Wait a minute, Ali. In case you're gay, in case you want to go to the library and get a book. I would much rather not live in these places, but I get you. They're cheaper. Taxes are really low, but they're kind of horrible places to live.
Yeah, you ever go to Florida? I mean, I understand
as little as I can these days, but yes, I have to get there a lot.
What is going on in Florida in terms of the cultural issues? I don't agree with the way they're approaching it, but people are going to Florida. It's not a horrible place, Ali. I mean, you don't want to say Florida is
fantastic. The restaurants are great, but if you're gay or you're trans or you'd like your freedom to read books or have an abortion, it is actually a horrible place.
Yeah, but what I'm saying to you is people are going there. You're getting off the subject. The subject is about taxes. And why don't we just raise taxes? And by the way,
the only reason I'm talking about taxes,
okay?
Hold on.
Wait a minute. Let me finish my
I'm talking about taxes is because you said people move to these places because of low taxes. I'm not disagreeing with you. Rich New Yorkers actually move to Florida because of low taxes.
Yeah, because you're
taxes
saying,
are not the only determinant about why you live in a place.
Look, what you're saying, Ali, is we could solve this problem if we just raise everybody's taxes, the rich people, the corporations. Now, look, sometimes, and there are provisions in the tax code, carried interest, that I have a lot of problems with. But part of the reason why corporations can do write-offs, can I finish, Ali, can I finish my thought?
Well, but you're dropping a lot of thoughts that require challenge, sir. I love having you on the show, and I love talking. You got a lot of experience. But you're saying a lot of things that I've got to challenge you on.
Let me get the I feel like I'm talking. I feel like I used to be at another place here. Can I finish my thought here?
That's all I want to do. And you brought in carried interest. I'm just challenging you on it, sir.
Ali, I don't think you really want to have a discussion here.
I really want to have a discussion. You talked about taxes in Texas and Florida.
Okay, then let me finish. You said there are horrible places to live. I don't agree with that. And this all came about because you said, why are we not raising taxes on corporations and on people? And I'm saying to you that when you raise taxes too high, you discourage people from doing what they want to do. And a lot of times they will leave to go to a place where they get a better reward for their hard work. Now, some corporations are able to take advantage of things like depreciation because that allows them to invest more. Look, the fact is we had this thing called the modern monetary theory, which is another theory. And now we've had sky high inflation because these policies don't work. So what I'm suggesting to you Governor, is this: you
also have to let me in. That's just not true. Modern monetary theory is not the reason we have inflation at all. So let's go back, because you were around when we got off the gold standard, right? You were around, and you remember people saying, if you get off the gold standard, the money will be worth nothing.
I think Nixon took us off. I wasn't.
All right, you were in the vicinity.
Finish with the gold standard.
Okay, but we got off the gold standard. Everybody thought inflation would be sky high because you can't trust what the value of money is. Guess what? That didn't happen. The inflation is high today for very specific reasons that have nothing to do with modern monetary theory. Nothing whatsoever, right? Why is inflation high in the UK? Why is it high in Canada? Why is it high in other places? It's not modern monetary theory. You know that, sir.
Allie, let me just suggest this to you. Larry Summers, Democrat, former Secretary of the Treasury, and a number of other Democrats warned that all this spending by the federal government was going to lead to inflation. We have inflation in this country for basically two reasons. One, because we've been printing money to cover our debt. You have too many dollars chasing too few goods. There's a second reason, and that's the problem that's related to supply chains because of COVID. But there's no denying why do you think the Fed is raising interest rates? Why do you think they're trying to cut back? Because they know that the flow of dollars, too many dollars chasing too few goods creates inflation. So look, I'm just back to the fact that the point I'm trying to make is, are there things that can be done to clean up the tax code? Absolutely. Are there things that can be done to clean up corporate welfare? I was in the middle of it. Of course there are. But at the end of the day, we just don't think the answer to this problem is just to raise everybody's taxes, and that'll somehow fix it.
We're not talking about raising everybody's taxes.
When they raise it, they spend it.
Governor, we're not talking about raising everybody's taxes. Is it fair to you that some companies pay no taxes? Is that fair to you?
It depends why Allie, it would depend why that is. In other words, if they've suffered losses because of investments, guess what? They don't pay taxes, okay? If they make investments and they start depreciating their plant and their equipment, guess what? They get a tax break. You don't want to take that away. There's not people who study the economy that say we should take away accelerated depreciation, or they don't say, or amortization.
So I just want to go back to our example, right? Back to our example of a working person who has a 401k who suffered losses because of their investments in the last year. They don't get to write that off. So working people do not get the privileges that companies get in this country.
But companies are the ones that invest and create the jobs, Allie. And let me say another thing in regard to how
working people do the jobs and they pay taxes.
Yeah, and so people that run companies and create jobs, they should be rewarded for that.
So if you say that people who create jobs,
it's like we're having an economics lesson here today.
But if you say, we are. If you say people who create jobs should be rewarded for that, I agree with that. Should people who do the jobs also be rewarded for that?
Sure, they should.
With the same tax benefits that the companies who hire them get?
Well, I mean, like depreciation and amortization. I mean, that's apples and oranges. Ollie, we're not talking about even in the same universe here. When a company is able to invest in plant and equipment and create new machinery, they're allowed to depreciate that. That's good for everybody. That's good for the country. It's good for the workers. It's good for everybody. That's how we have economic growth.
Right.
So what we want to have is economic growth.
I just wish we could treat people I just wish we could treat working people as well as we could treat companies. That's all I'm saying.
Now, it drives me crazy with the taxes and not taxing, etc. You know, the former governor said, what do you want? The stockbrokers to go ahead and leave New York because of higher taxes? How much should they have to pay? And the reality is, as much as possible. Why? They're getting free money. Stockbrokers, they create nothing. That's the only part of this entire interview that I think Ali Velshi missed. He did it all perfectly, except that he missed to ask the guy, wait a minute, the workers who make the things are the ones who are creating wealth for everybody, and the stockbroker creates wealth out of an imaginary illusion of what companies are worth. There's no comparison. So if they have to pay more taxes, so what? Interesting enough, when Ali Velshi talks about why are people moving to Florida and Texas? Yeah, the wealthy people are moving to Florida and Texas. Guess what else about those wealthy people? They can afford to live in gated communities. They can afford helicopters to take them where they need to get, so they don't have to go into the traffic, the bad traffic, the gun-laden streets that are there that the average worker has to go through, because they don't want to pay taxes to give great infrastructure, to give great safety, etc. So yeah, it's a hellhole for the rest of the folks. But for those who have money, they can live in gated communities in a low tax area where they also get service from us all in their gated community. He attempted to talk about MMT. The governor was about to lie to America. MMT caused inflation, as was said by Katie Porter, Representative Katie Porter. She pointed out a fact that we should all be aware of. And what is that fact again? That fact is Most of inflation was created by corporate greed, not the supply chain problem, not the problem of manufacturing overseas, which those issues are there as well. But most of the inflation was based on corporate greed. And for all of those that are trying to blame administrations and others, they are pretty much hurting themselves because they are allowing corporations to continue with their behavior of raising prices. And then you know who pays for it? Not even the government. The government doesn't want to say, corporations, stop it. If you don't stop it, we'll tax it away from you. We'll tax those profits away from you if you don't stop raising prices. That's not what they do. They allow the corporations to maximize themselves on those on inflation, meaning they make more money for inflation, and they don't stop until they take more of your money. How do they take more of your money? The feds increased the amount of interest that banks are going to collect now. And as the banks collect more money and enrich themselves further, it reduced the amount of money that people can have to buy resources on the outside. And that causes the corporations then to say, okay, let's drop inflation a bit so people start back buying. It is a charade that we need to get around our heads what these people do. When he talks about, Larry Summers was saying if you kept spending this money, the reality is we needed to spend more money. We needed to put more money in the hands of the working class. Why? Remember, over the last 40 years, they have been stagnant. While the wealthy few have been going up in their wages, they have been stagnant. We have productivity. We have efficiencies. We don't have shortages, as the governor tried to imply. We never had a shortage of gasoline. The prices went up. We never had a shortages of wheat. The price of bread went up. We had some issues with eggs for a while, but the prices of eggs pretty much stayed up high enough, higher than what the result of that pandemic that they had with the avian flu, etc., would have justified. Folks, we are being played, and we must understand that. And governors and Republicans like these guys and neoliberal Democrats who refuse to really accept the reality of economics are the ones who are causing us pain. When we go to our primaries in the next year, it is incumbent on us to elect the right progressives who are going to tell the truth about how the economic system really fails us, not by design. Well, actually, by design. And what we have to do is undesign the way it works and make sure that it works for every single working class American. We spend a lot of time deconstructing the news, trying to parse it into a form that everybody can understand. We try to find those little nitpicks where it flies above the fray, etc. If you really like these videos that we do, I want to ask a big favor. Please go ahead. Number one, subscribe to our channel. And number two, please join if you can. Thank you so kindly for watching. Keep watching. Please remember to share. We must populate the entire internet with our progressive message, a message that we know is what most Americans say that they want. So help us, please join.